We're live. It says we're live. We are on. Back again. Welcome to Burnham Podcast, presented by Fire Christian Media. I am Danny Burnham, editor of Fire Christian Media. This is my brother / co-host, Drew Burnham. Good evening, Drew.
Good evening.
Good evening. We are from the fort. We are in Fort Jackson, South Carolina tonight. We're on, it's the Army Basic Training Center.
Yeah.
The Army Basic Training Center, y'all.
50%.
50%.
50% of every person that goes through basic training for the Army comes through Fort Jackson. The other three do the other 50%.
Of the three more posts.
Yeah, there's four posts. This place does 50%, and the other three do the other 50%.
So 50% of the United States Army soldiers that train basic training, getting ready to go be official soldiers, come through where we are right now, and that is awesome. We've been here. This is our second day here. We've got one more day. We're going to watch a basic training class graduate tomorrow morning. That'll be Thursday.
That's going to be pretty cool.
They graduate a class every Thursday here.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday, a new basic training class graduates, and they get they've officially become soldiers. Right now, they're trainees. They don't even call them privates anymore. They're trainees. But, Drew, how did we get to Fort Jackson, South Carolina?
It's funny.
Why are we here?
So I've been building a pretty good relationship with Sergeant First Class Keith Doucette of the Rome Recruiting Battalion. Just from some things that he's helping us do for our military appreciation game on September the 29th at Shorter. And so just from some things I've been doing with him, we built a little bit of a relationship, and he said, hey, there's this educators tour coming up, and there's a little summit meeting, and we're trying to get a bunch of educators from the area to go up and kind of tour the basic training facility and see if you're sending kids there, this is what you're sending them to do. And I thought it would be a really cool opportunity to come up and see these guys and see what they do daily and kind of what they go through and what it's really about. So, of course, I told him we'd go, and then the Army hooked us up.
The Army has hooked us up. It's again, we're here. We're on the fort, at the fort. We got all this swag
stuff everywhere.
We got more Army stuff.
Hats, cups. This thing.
They threw a bunch of stuff at us.
Bags.
It's been cool. They've treated us well.
Hotel rooms.
Yeah, whole 9 yards. It's been great. It's been a great experience. They've fed us. They've housed us. They've given us stuff. We've toured the base by and large. I mean, we've seen
pretty much all of it now.
Pretty much all of it. Couple of really cool things that we've done. The first, I guess, major stop that we made was the Basic Training Museum here on the base. And it's the history of Army basic training.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, exhibits and artifacts and things as far back as long as anybody's been. It's been here 100 years. Is that right? Was that the
100? I think they said 100th anniversary was 6-7 years ago.
World War I was They somewhere before 1914, something along those lines. They've been training soldiers here since then. And if you watch us, if you listen to us regularly, the military comes up a lot. It's, some people are fans of football teams or basketball teams. We're kind of like, we're Army fans, not like even, West Point go, not Black Knights, but military. We just have a great appreciation for the military. And in our day jobs, believe it or not, this job, recording podcasts, doesn't pay very well at this stage in the game. So we both have day jobs. I work at a local high school, and Drew is a college football coach. And that's for, again, a minute ago, I was addressing people that watch us a lot, and that's for kind of people that don't. But we're still day jobbing. We're both educators, so we're on this educators tour. And as educators, being around these kids that don't always have a lot of direction in their life, and they're not sure what the next step's going to be, we're both pushing kids, go to the military, go to the military, go to the military. And it was really cool to come down here and see what it was we were pushing them towards exactly. And we've learned, man, Army guys joke about death by PowerPoint. Man, they almost PowerPointed us to death today. The last briefing we went into, the projector was broken.
But they had the printout.
They had the handouts, so we got to see it anyway. But we didn't have to actually watch another a PowerPoint. But there's so much information that
good stuff.
It is really great stuff that we're going to be able to use and pass on to kids that we interact with, and then we may even have some influence on. And it's a big deal joining the Army. It's a big step.
Yeah.
So it's nice to know that. I know a little more about it now, and I'm telling this kid that, you don't have a ton of direction in your life, or he comes up to you and he's like, Coach, what am I going to do? And you say, this is what you can do. And this is, all the stuff the Army has, and it's awesome. And we're just having a great time here. But the museum we went to yesterday, the Basic Training Museum, it was super awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, what would you call the drill instructor, the get off the bus guy? What would you call that thing?
Not quite a hologram, a projection.
Yeah, they projected. You walk in this is a dark room.
But not how you would normally think of a projection, because it's on glass, so you really can't see the
it's
surface.
Projected on glass from behind. So it's almost like a hologram. But you walk in this little dark room, and this drill instructor pops up, and he's yelling at you, get off the bus, or get on the bus, or I forget where they were coming or going.
Filling in from the back to the front.
Yeah, filling in from the back to the front, and then he's yelling at them. And, so you get like a little glimpse of what those guys go through when they first, they're putting them on the bus and they're bringing them to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. And then we got to go to the reception area,
where it goes down. Yeah.
Yeah. And we stood and anybody that's been in the Army knows about the yellow footprints and the lines, and you come in and you stand. That's for the first time you're ever in formation, I guess in your whole life. And you're standing on these yellow footprints that put you in like perfect attention.
Yeah.
What do they call it? The discipline of the process of attention. Oh, there's some term we talk about, but we got to stand in these footprints. What did you think about the footprints? It weirded me out a little bit. Like I didn't feel like I belonged in those footprints.
Yeah, and we're in this group of people, and everybody's kind of, I don't know. It's not really a straight comparison to make, but I didn't stand in the footprints for the same reason that when I meet other football guys who have like championship rings, right, I'll look at it and I don't ever put it on my finger.
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to stand in those footprints because I'm not about to go do what everybody go do, and I don't want to put your ring on my finger because I didn't do what you had to do to get it. And it's such a special thing that everybody who has been through there has done those things. Yeah. And it's kind of a Army sacred little spot.
Right. There's a veteran with us in our group here, and he's had like chills, down his spine the whole time we've been here. The first, when we get out of the van, the first time we get out of the van on base, our tour guide approaches us. It's a drill instructor.
Drill sergeant. And everything.
You got that. I mean, like, he's what you see in the movies.
And he sees him coming, and he's like, oh, God.
And this guy's he was a veteran. He got out of the military 20 years ago. And he still is, like, afraid. Like, there's a drill sergeant. Like, oh, am I going to, calm down. First of all, the drill sergeant's 30 years younger than you are now. Like, and you're a civilian, so he's not going to yell at you.
And the drill sergeant is phenomenal.
Oh, he's great. Super, super guy. What?
Sergeant Williams?
Sergeant Williams. Man, Sergeant Williams is awesome. He's been our lead tour guide the whole time we've been here. When a couple other guys come and go.
He's fantastic.
Sergeant Williams has been great. He has been great. He is.
Answering every question known to man.
All of them.
Never missing a beat.
Yeah. And walking backwards most of the time. Talking to us and pointing at this and that. And I guess he's in the habit of walking backwards.
Yeah. Leading
while he yells at, the
trainee,
whatever it is. But it's been really cool. We've seen today. We saw what do they call it? It's not the challenge course here, the confidence course.
Yeah,
confidence course. And we got to see what they call red phase trainees going through. The
confidence training.
And confidence training means you climb up something really tall. And there's a really creative way for you to fall off of it, whether it's like you slide down on a rope or some other way that you're risking your life on this giant obstacle. And it was cool to watch. I dig it. You've done a lot of that kind of stuff before.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Done a lot of those things, you know. Everybody thought that when you're a recreation major, you just spend time in your hammock, but we did hard stuff too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Ropes courses and
being a rec major was probably super hard. God bless rec majors. Today we had about 3 briefings this morning.
Yeah, we're getting after this
about
morning.
Different things the Army has to offer, training and education and things like that. And turns out you can do college and Army at the same time now and get credit for being in the Army and all kinds of stuff. A lot of great stuff going on. But we learned all that in, one PowerPoint presentation after another this morning. And then we went over to the Chaplains Museum, which was really cool. That was really cool. Chaplains Museum was cool. It was a lot of great artifacts in there, different altars and things. They had built chapels, in World War II in Germany and all over the world. And Korean War. I mean,
built them out of whatever they had that they could make it out of.
Yeah, they're the
one that they made out of the artillery shells was the coolest.
Yeah, it was the Ordnance Division. What describe the table, Drew?
So there was a table, and it was
like a communion table.
Yeah, it was like a big.
If you've been in church, you've seen a communion table.
Yeah, big thick wood communion table. You could tell it was really heavy. And the sides of it were just kind of propped up by these little metal bars, and you could tell that it wasn't going to be enough to hold that thing.
Right.
And so they had taken 2 3.5, 4, probably not quite 4, probably 3.5 foot tall artillery shells and stuck them under the middle of the table. And that was what the rest of the table was resting on. And he was, there was a priest up there behind it giving communion or a chaplain or whatever he was. But it was seeing those guys get that thing set up, however they had to get it set up. They were getting it set up.
Whatever it takes, right?
That was really cool.
It was, and that was something. Of course, the Chaplains Museum was special to me, to us, with our beliefs and background, things like that, and to see that. War, you think about war is the worst. They say war is hell, and that's not an exaggeration because you see the worst of humanity in war, and terrible things are happening, and God is still there through the chaplain. We got to talk to. He wasn't a chaplain. What was the guy's MOS we talked to today? He was a religious affairs specialist.
Oh yeah,
yeah, which is an assistant to the
chaplain. He's the assistant
somewhere.
To the chaplain. Yeah.
But he was talking a lot about. He told us a lot about chaplain duties and things that they do, and it's such an important thing. He said, the chaplain is the moral center of any unit. There's a chaplain for every unit, I guess, and and you've got to kind of hold yourself to a higher moral standard than anybody else that's there. Yeah, because
they're looking at you.
Right. It's the same as being a pastor or, anything else. And first time you're the Sunday school teacher, whoever you are, whatever your title in church is, and then somebody sees you do something and, I thought you were, the chaplain's the same way. And I imagine it's probably pretty easy to lose your cool in combat.
If it's going to happen, that's the spot.
I might say an ugly word if the bombs start falling. You know what I mean? Like there's no guarantees on that, but you got to hold it together.
And there's a really cool story that really relates to that, or I wouldn't bother with it. But
do it.
The pastor at Calvary Baptist Church in Columbus is Jeff Strucker, who was a chaplain in the Army.
Yeah.
And he was in a battle that we did a show about the battle early.
Episode 2. Go watch it. Listen to it.
He was in the Battle of Mogadishu where the Black Hawk Down incident happened, and he talks about videos of him talking about that stuff. But the part that I was thinking about a lot today, when we were in the Chaplain Museum, was after it was over, because you're talking about when the bullets start flying and the bombs start dropping and there's stuff exploding everywhere and people dying and getting shot and run over by trucks and whatever, and Strucker's talking about the next day after that was over, and all those guys were coming to him in the base and saying, "Hey, I don't know what you got going on, but your voice sounded a whole lot different than mine on the radio, and I need to know yesterday what you got going on that I don't know about." and he was just sharing gospel with just hordes of dudes that day. Because they'd all just had the life scare. They were all certain they were going to die.
Yeah, well, he was.
You were talking about being able to keep your cool when all that happens, and he did. And not to say that he wasn't terrified, because he'll tell you he was certain he was going to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they said, your voice was different than mine. I need to know what you got that made you so comfortable.
Right.
That was really cool.
Well, I mean, and we know what it was. It was the peace that only God can give you in a moment like that. And he was able to keep going that night and save a bunch of guys' lives.
A ton of guys.
And that's the role. He was soldier then. He hadn't
become chaplain yet. It was he said it was that next day when all of that started happening. After he talked to all the guys that needed to talk to him, there's a line of people standing there waiting to talk to this guy. And he talks to all these guys, and he says, "You know what? Maybe I need to go be a chaplain."
Right. And it's just such an important role when you think about combat and things like that. So that was a cool experience. That was probably, I don't know if it was my favorite part of the trip, because they let us play with guns today.
They did.
That was cool.
They did.
But it was going to the museum was like being in church, and there's that reverence and for that matter, this whole place, is kind of that way, just because, so many people that have fought and died for our country have walked in the same footsteps that we've walked in the last couple of days. Literally painted on the sidewalk.
Painted on there.
Yeah. And thousands and they bring 10,000 guys through here
a year. Yeah.
And you multiply that by 100 years since they've been doing this here, and odds are a lot of those guys paid the ultimate sacrifice, so that we can record podcasts and things like that. So, but it's just been really cool. It's always humbling to me to have a real experience with military guys, or especially something like this when we've eaten in the chow hall. They call it the DFAC now.
Yeah, the DFAC. I don't even know what it means.
Dining facility, I think, DFAC.
Yeah, dining facility, that's right.
So we're sitting there, and today we got to eat with soldiers who were in AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. They've graduated from basic training, and they've moved on to whatever their specialty in the Army is going to be. And they're in school for that. So they were allowed to talk to us. And we had a really cool conversation with a specialist from Wisconsin. She's from Wisconsin, the first one?
And I forget. No, she was from South Dakota.
South Dakota, and I forget her name. I don't remember either of their names.
I don't remember them either. They weren't there for very long.
There's a private from
Iowa.
Yeah, and they both of them had great stories, and they were.
The girl from Southern Iowa joined the military because she's a single mom.
Yeah.
She had a baby 15 months
ago.
And just finished basic. Now, basic training is 10 weeks. That's
10 weeks.
That's almost 3 months.
Yeah.
So she was a year off a baby when she shipped.
Yeah.
To basic training.
In South Carolina.
From Iowa.
Yeah.
Brought the baby. They've got great child care centers here and all that. Yeah. But you're 12 months off a baby and you're shipping to basic training, and she crushed it.
She did.
She's crushing AIT. And I said, well, what kind of made the decision for you? She's from Southern Iowa. She's never seen the ocean in her life. She's waiting for her first day of leave so she can get in the car and drive 2 hours to go see the ocean.
Yeah.
She's never seen the ocean in her life, and she's doing it so she can go to school and be a marine biologist.
God bless her, man. she was motivated too.
Oh man, she was a go-getter.
Highly motivated.
Go-getter.
Had to be more motivated than me, that's for sure. She was tough.
Yeah, that was pretty cool interaction.
Yeah, so we've gotten to talk to the trainees, like the just got here, still getting yelled at by drill instructors. We don't get to talk to them, of course. Not that we couldn't talk to them, but they better not talk to us. So we just hadn't, breached that really. But
if you couldn't get yelled at, I don't want it to be my fault.
And we had been here. What was that? We saw the guy get in trouble in the dining hall.
First day.
Yeah, no, but we had been here minutes. It hadn't been long at all.
No, because that was the first place we went. Was lunch.
First place we go is trainee dining facility.
Yeah.
And we get to go through. We get our plates, and we're sitting there eating. And it's
like around the corner. You couldn't see it.
Yeah, you couldn't see it going on. But around the corner, a unit is coming in behind us, and somebody messed up.
Yeah, they don't talk at lunch.
Yeah.
They don't talk at dinner. They don't talk at breakfast. If you got time to talk, you should have been eating We don't have time to sit here and hang out. We got to go.
Right. If you got time to talk, then it's time to move out and go get more work done.
Yeah. So you hear the commotion coming from behind the thing. I don't know if whatever he was doing wrong, because this, I mean, even something simple like going to lunch is a system when you're in basic. And all I hear is this female drill sergeant blah, 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 screaming at him.
I hope he can understand her.
I had no idea what she was saying. That might have been part of the problem. He didn't know what she was telling him to do. And so out of all the commotion, I hear one voice. And he says, move your tray to the food.
Move your tray to the food.
Move your tray to the food. Move your tray to the food. For what? 20 minutes?
Maybe 20 minutes, yeah.
And
move your tray to the food.
Over and over and over.
So this is our first impression of Fort Jackson.
We've been here 5 minutes.
Yeah. We got off the van, went to the DFAC. We're going to eat. And this is going down 5 minutes later. Move your tray to the food. I'll never forget that.
Every time I eat in a legitimate cafeteria from here for the rest of the time,
I always think about that.
I will think about that because
that
poor guy was getting it. And he stood there right there and didn't go sit down and eat his lunch after he'd been out in the field all day. Yeah. He stood right there for at least 20 minutes.
They did finally let him eat.
They did. Yeah, but he didn't have as much time as everybody else said. Move your tray to the food. Move your tray to the food. And the drill sergeants are dancing circles around him and making move your tray to the food into a rap video.
They were having quite a good time.
They were.
He was not having so much fun. But that's Army life. That's how it goes. You get yelled at sometimes. You do something, and who knows what it even was.
I don't know. But at that stage in the game, with where those guys are in their training, sometimes they're just looking for whatever to see if they can get you.
Right.
See if they can just pick your skin just a little bit.
Well, from the very beginning, they bring these guys in, and they leave wherever they are at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. And they come here, and they
stay on up.
Well, they start processing it like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So, so you're up all night, and you might end up with an hour or two of sleep before they wake you up at 4:30 to start running and getting your hair cut and getting all the stuff you got to do at reception, which is the first 3 days that you're on post here. But I gotta tell the other story. Speaking of reception, how about they did a demonstration for us? They held 2 guys back that were just coming in and did a demonstration for us of what happens at reception when you first come in, and they have to check through all your stuff to make sure you don't have weapons or anything that's going to hurt you. Amnesty check, they call it.
Well, yeah, they call it an amnesty check, but it's so you don't have weapons or aerosol cans or
drugs
or anything that you can't have. And so they just have you just dump out your backpack on the ground. And so Buddy stands up, and this guy's got a great head of hair.
Oh, man. His
looks
hair was
beautiful.
Awesome.
He dumps his backpack out, and what's the first thing that goes rolling across the floor?
It's a hairbrush.
Hairbrush. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, homie. I ain't a dream crusher, but you're not going to need that thing very long, is it, Fort Jackson?
A couple more hours with you and your hairbrush there. That was the first thing I noticed when he turned his bag over. I was like, oh, man.
You need it now because you got a big old head full of it, but it ain't going to be there long.
Bless his heart. I'm sure he's going to be great.
There's a barber here, and everybody gets a haircut. He doesn't know but one.
That's it. He's one style. It takes less than a minute, they say. Yeah. I can't.
40-some-odd seconds, and you're
cut pretty close.
Done. Ready to roll.
Yeah. But they bring these guys in like that. This kid's got to think about it. He probably takes his hairbrush everywhere he goes.
If I had a head of hair look like that, I probably would too.
Right? But they break these guys down, and they take away the drill instructor explained this to us, take away all their individuality. It's like it's all gone. And you get some of it back later, but like when you're in this environment, it's all about the team. It's all about, what you can do to help the guy in front of you and the guy behind you in line get through whatever you're trying to do.
Right.
Everybody's looking out for each other. So nobody's thinking about themselves at this point. That's what makes the Army go. That's what should make any good team go. That's what should make your church go.
Or your business.
Or your family or whatever. It's got to be about the greater good. And we've done episodes about that before.
Yep.
Things like that. Similar subjects. We won't rehash all that here, but go back and watch all of our episodes if this is the first time. We talk about a lot of these things. Army comes up a lot. Military comes up a lot in our
seems to.
Military and football, right up there.
What you like?
Jesus. We like talking about Jesus too. But no, it's been a great time. And we're gonna go. This afternoon we got to go to.
Oh man.
EST. I don't remember what EST exactly stands for, but
electronics something
simulation, something targets. I don't know.
I don't remember. It was no engagement something. It's the simulator. Engagement simulation something.
Yeah, it's a. We got these little. There's 6 of these buildings, 8 of these buildings, maybe as many as 10
probably. A bunch.
And there's a firing range inside these buildings. And when I say a building, it's not. I mean, it may be the size of a convenience store.
Yeah,
like it's not a huge building. And you go in, and there's a firing range, and there are 3 different weapon systems. There was the M4, the M16, and the 240.
Yeah,
3 different types of rifles.
So. There weren't any 240s in there. There was 2 different kinds of M4 and an M16.
Okay, so that's what it was. So they have like a pneumatic thing going on. So you're not in the field shooting real bullets, learning how to shoot, and wasting 33 cents every time you squeeze the trigger. This gun shoots a laser up at a screen that's projected. There's a scenario playing out on the screen. You're shooting bad guys. And we got to go do that today. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
so
right next to the
Lieutenant Colonel Dan Mitchell is in there with us, and he drops down prone, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna." He didn't make a big deal about it, but I'm thinking I got to shoot with the Colonel. Like, this is gonna be awesome. And he's Special Forces.
Colonel Special Forces, man. He's been everywhere.
He wears this green hat. Apparently, that's a big deal. Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell's a Green Beret. Like, he's legit. And so he hops down there in the range with us, and that was awesome to be able to shoot. Well, this guy's he's deployed 7 times. He's been all over the world, and there he is in this simulator with us.
And I almost got him.
He and Sergeant Atkinson were the only ones that outshot me in the first round.
Yeah.
And then my gun malfunctioned in the second one, and then you came in, and you did it so much better the second time.
I did,
but so did Lieutenant Colonel Mitchell.
Couldn't catch him. It was so funny because me and him were having a little friendly competition and chatting a little bit in between the 2 rounds there. So I finished up my second round before he did. You get 5 shots. I finished up my second round and saw my score, and I said, "Oh man, that's pretty good."
Yeah.
And I was the instructor that was behind us that was running the range master was like, "Wow, who's is that? That's pretty good." And so I'm looking at him, waiting for him to finish up, and he pulls his last one, and he kind of stared up over the top of his gun, and his number popped up, and he just looked at me. Man,
these guys, they want these guys to put a group of 5 shots inside of a 4-centimeter circle.
Yeah.
At 300 yards, 300 meters.
300 meters.
So that's what they're going for today, and we got to take part in some of that training, and it was really cool.
That's a pretty good shot.
That is some pretty incredible shooting, but those guys do it, man. They rifle range was awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic.
So we're shooting this laser, and instead of like we said, you're not just teaching these guys how to shoot by letting them waste a bunch of money. They bring them into this thing. It was awesome. I'm thinking about getting one for the living room at home. I'm going to get a.
Yeah, me too. But then I heard they were $250,000.
Well, for the whole system, there's like 40 guns in there.
I need all that in one.
Yeah,
2 guns,
1 or 2, so we can team up. Just like you having your buddies over playing Call of Duty.
2 guns. That's all we need. We don't need all that stuff.
It was awesome. It was cool. And then they moved over. We moved over to the second building and got to shoot.
That's where the situation was.
Yeah. We were in this scenario. We got to shoot at like live targets and stuff like that. It was crazy. There were guys running at us and shooting at us, and there were tanks and planes flying overhead, and it got intense.
Yeah.
The heart rate got up a little bit. We were sweating.
I didn't realize it until it was over with, and they shut it down and called clear, and I'm like, whew.
Yeah. Man. I hadn't breathed, man.
I'm tired. I'm sweating.
It was 5 minutes.
We were prone. I was laying down. It wasn't like I was up running.
No, and it was 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it. It wasn't like we were in sustained. It wasn't even real combat. Man, it was intense though, but it was cool. It was a lot of fun. We had a good time. But I splashed myself with water. How does that even happen? But I think the biggest takeaway, and it's something that I guess I assumed I already knew before I came here, but to see this, we had to see the whole process. We saw guys come off the bus, and tomorrow we're going to see guys graduate.
And we've seen
everything in between
that we're allowed to see.
Yeah, everything that they'll let us see. And the whole idea here is the team, the Army, making a unit out of a bunch of individuals. There's two guys that we saw last night that were coming in reception, and one of them is from Wahoo, Nebraska, and the other one's from Walla Walla, Washington, and they didn't know each other, and they never seen each other before, and they don't know anything about each other. By the time they leave here, they're like best buddies for life.
Yeah,
and it's about the greater good, and it's about the cause, and more so than me or you or him or whatever. It's about us.
And that's what I think is so neat too, because you get this in your companies, and you get this in your teams, and you get this in a lot of stuff where if I'm senior to you or superior to you, we're not really a level playing field here. And you catch Colonel Mitchell, who's an officer, graduated from West Point.
Yeah.
Has worked at the Pentagon and all this other special forces, and bad dude by all accounts. And then you catch Sergeant Atkinson, Staff Sergeant Revel, Joe Sergeant Williams. These guys who are good soldiers in their own right, but they're not. They shouldn't be on his level, and he talks to them all the same.
Well,
just like he does the major that was in his that we were in there with earlier that was ranked higher than he was, and because all this stuff, they've all done this, and it made them all one team,
right? And no kid,
and there's no denying who's in charge when they're in the room,
right? Because they're all calling him sir,
right?
But the kids standing out there with their feet on the yellow prints would disagree, maybe, but I've heard Colonel Mitchell mention multiple times over the last couple of days about how much he cares about these recruits, and how much we're doing this because we care about these kids, and then these are all the benefits the Army gives because they care. And again, the kid getting his head shaved, he's not feeling a lot of love right now, but once he graduates and goes to his unit or even deploys, he's going to be glad that he had the experience.
But all these guys that we've talked to, not a single one of them. These guys could have all gotten out by now.
Oh, yeah. No, these guys are all 8, 9, some of them 12, 13 years in.
Yeah, and they could have all gotten out by now, and they'll all tell you that was really kind of crappy when it was happening.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand it all, and I didn't really know, couldn't see the big picture,
right.
and I couldn't, I didn't know what all was going on, but thank God, because this place changed my life.
Yeah, it does. It changes the trajectory of a lot of lives, and I don't ever want to be the guy that's like, I almost joined the Army, because I didn't almost join the Army, like it wasn't on the radar. But looking back, I wish I had.
Yeah,
at least done an enlistment. But it is what it is, and God knows what He's doing, and I'm where He wants me to be now. But it's been a really cool experience, and it's given me, as much as I appreciated, veterans and things like that before, it's even more so now, just having this experience and kind of seeing what they go through from the beginning. Because it's cool, to see somebody like Colonel Mitchell, who's like, he's Green Beret. Look at all the stuff he's got on his shirt. It didn't matter to him. It's cool to me.
Yeah.
But to see who Colonel Mitchell was once upon a time, walking off that bus, that was him.
Yeah.
And it gives me a greater appreciation.
Yeah.
And it's been a great experience. I'm glad we did it. But as we were talking about, what are we going to talk about in this show, whatever, we're here. We're in a military, we're
Gotta do it.
The Army Training Center. Yeah. Why not? It kind of falls into our laps. And we hope you guys have enjoyed it. We have had an awesome time here. It's been great. And maybe, I don't know, we'll inspire you to appreciate veterans a little more or whatever. But
yeah,
hopefully it's some inspiration to you. It's been an inspiration to us. We're trying to figure out how to go to a Navy or Marine or Air Force educator tour. Maybe we can.
So, all you recruiters out there, if you've got an educator, we're ready to roll.
We'll go. We'll make it happen. But we're going to jump off. We're at about 35 minutes right now. So we're going to wrap it up. Cool. Just Roger that. Over and out. I don't know. Oscar Mike. That's what we are right now.
That's right.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thanks to the Army for having us.
Sponsoring the show.
Absolutely. Picking up the tab tonight. This can be your company. We'll wear your shirts, put your hats up on it, drink out of your cup.
Right with your pens, in your books, whatever it is.
On Burnham Podcast with our legions of followers.
That's right.
Anyway, thanks for watching, for listening. God bless. Go Army.